Alright students, today we're going to do lesson 7.2, which is solving triangle area problems, finding the area of triangles, and that means any type of triangle, whether it be an acute triangle, an obtuse triangle, or a right triangle. Now teachers, I'm going to leave it up to you to do the solve and discuss in class, so if you want to pause this and do the solve and discuss, it's done exactly like the one we did yesterday. Students will need a ruler, and you can do it and discuss it and then come back to the video. Or you can skip over this and let's go straight to example 1, and we will discuss what you would have found out when you did that on the other side. Okay, the reason I feel like we can skip over that is because we've been finding the area of triangles on our Minute Math pages. We have already been using the formula for the area of a triangle, so that would be kind of backtracking. So what you would be doing on the other side is taking a parallelogram and then cutting it in half. Well, the area of a parallelogram is base times height. We investigated that yesterday. And so when you cut that in half, then you have to cut your formula in half also to get your formula for a triangle. So one of these triangles is half of what the whole parallelogram would have been. And thus you come up with the formula for finding the area of any triangle. Okay, so the parallelogram, important that you know, is base times height, and the area of any triangle is 1/2 the base times the height. Okay, and I'm sure your teachers have this on anchor chart somewhere in your classroom. So let's work with this for a minute. We want the area of the triangle, which is half of that parallelogram. If I was doing the whole parallelogram, it would be base times height. I'm not. I'm doing half of it. So it's 1/2 times the base, which is 12, times the height that's perpendicular to that base, which is 5. Now, 12 times 5, they left the half, they haven't used it yet. 12 times 5 in your calculator is, you should know what that is. Okay, it's 60, and half of 60 is 30. Now you didn't have to do it in that order. You could have done half of 12 is 6, and then 6 times 5 is 30. But to fill in their boxes the way they had it, we had to do it that way. Okay. Two identical triangles form a parallelogram with a base of 8 inches and a height. See, here's the information we have to have. We have a B that's 8 inches, and we have an H that's 6 inches. What's the area of each triangle? So we want to find the area of a triangle. So the area of a triangle is 1/2 times B times H. So the area is going to be, let's move this up just a little, 1/2 times 8 times 6. And I'm just going to do it from left to right. Half of 8 is 4, and 4 times 6 is 24. So my area is 24 inches squared. Area is always in square units. Always. Alright, let's go to example 2. Find the area of a right triangle. Notice it looks like a birdhouse. The side of the birdhouse is in the shape of a right triangle. Remember, a right triangle has one right angle in it. And it wants to know the area of the side of the birdhouse. So we're just looking at this triangular side right here. We're not finding volume. We're not finding how much room is inside that birdhouse. We're just finding the piece of board that it takes to make that triangle right there. So it's 1/2 the base times the height, and the base is 8 and the height is 8. So 8 times 8 is 64, and half of 64 is 32, and there you have it. Notice what it says over here under generalize. You can use the formula 1/2 the base times height to find the area of any triangle when you know the base and the height. It doesn't matter what type of triangle it is. Okay, Kaylin drew the triangle shown below. What's the area of the triangle? What's the area of the triangle? Oh, there's lots of numbers on there. I'm going to use this base of 16 and this height of 5. That's this one right here. Half of 16 is 8, and 8 times 5 is 40. But I don't have to. If I call this the base, then this would be the height. So if I use the 10 and the 8, half of 10 is 5, and 5 times 8 is 40. See, it doesn't matter which side of this triangle I call the base. If I use the height that's perpendicular to that, it all comes out the same every time. All right, let's practice on the triads. Find the area of each triangle. Once again, we always start by writing our formula down. 1/2 BH. It's a triangle. So then we have 1/2 times 6 times 9, because these are at right angles to each other. So the area is equal to half of 6 is 3. 3 times 9 is 27. Our units are centimeters squared. Boy, those times tables come in handy on stuff like this. I never have to pick up my calculator. Okay? When I look at this, the two easiest numbers for me to see is the 12 and the 3. Okay? So 1/2 BH means 1/2 times the base times the height. Area equals 1/2 times 12 times 3. Half of 12 is 6. 6 times 3 is 18. Area is 18 meters squared. All right, let's go use the other two numbers. If this is the height, then what's perpendicular, that's the 9. So the area would be 1/2 BH. Area would be 1/2 times 4 times 9. Half of 4 is 2, and 2 times 9 is 18. You're going to get 18 meters squared no matter which set of numbers you use, if you use correctly. All right. Turn the paper over. Do you understand? Teachers, here's good information for your anchor charts right here. Make sure you have all three kinds of triangles on your board: an acute triangle, a right triangle, and an obtuse triangle, to show the base and height for that. Number 1, how can you find the area of a triangle? The area of a triangle, I always put me a little picture, is 1/2 times the base times the height. All right, be reading number 2. If you cut a rectangle into two identical triangles, what type of triangles will they be? Well, let's see. Here's a rectangle. It's supposed to have a right angle right here, right here, right here, and right here. And if I do this, then isn't this going to be a right triangle right here, and there's another one right here? So what type of triangles will they be? Right triangles. Right triangles. Number 3. In example 1, if the other diagonal were used to divide the parallelogram into two triangles, would the area of each of these triangles be half the area of the parallelogram? Doesn't matter which diagonal you put in, so the answer is yes. Those two triangles would have the same area. Okay? All right, let's go to number 4. Find the area of each triangle. Start with your formula. 1/2 times b times h. Put numbers into the formula. 1/2 times 2 times 4. Half of 2 is 1. 1 times 4 is 4. The area should be 4 feet squared. Teachers, be looking for the units. Make sure they have the units on there and they are correct. Okay, look at number 5. If I use this base, I have to use this height. Okay, and that's the only base and height I see on the picture. So I'm going to use this, and I'm not going to use that. So area is equal to 1/2 times b times h. Area equals 1/2 times a base of 4.2 times a height of 3.5. Well, I'm going to pick up my calculator on this one because I don't want to do all that. 1/2 is the same as 0.5 in your calculator, so put in 0.5 times 4.2 times 3.5. And I get 7.35. My units are inches and inches, so this is inches squared. The squared must be on the inches, not on the number. Number 6, we have a base and we have a height, no extra numbers. Area equals 1/2 times b times h. Area equals 1/2 times 6.5 times 5. If you've noticed, between my two numbers, if I have an even number, I put it here so I can take half of it. If I don't have an even number, then it doesn't matter which one I put where. So once again, I'm going to punch this in my calculator. 1/2 is the same as 0.5. 0.5 times 6.5 times 5. And that is an area of 16 25 centimeters squared. Okay, the formula is not going to change for a triangle. It's always going to be 1/2 the base times the height. Alright, so we did all of that. We didn't leave you any to do right there. So what you have to do is your practice and problem solving page, page 411, your additional vocabulary. You can go back and do that solve and discuss that we skipped over if you want to do that activity. And then there is a quiz over this lesson if your teacher chooses to use it. Okay, there you go. 1/2 base times the height. Area of a triangle, 1/2 base times the height. Get busy on your homework. Always start by writing down your formula, then put the numbers in your formula, then either do the math by hand, in your head, or on your calculator. See how they start with their formula every time? You do that also. When you get down here and it's not written for you, you start with it. Okay, good luck. Catch you later.